Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Thomas Kimsey, President, Thomas USAF out of Atlanta. Thomas, love having you coming on and joining us. Talk about USDA. You know, I'm a big fan of that program. And thank you for joining us so much.
Thank you, Bob. Glad to be here.
Katie Roach, our editor out of Washington. I keep wanting to say Seattle, but you're not in Seattle. You're a suburb of
Seattle, a suburb of Seattle.
Very good. Let's go right to the big news, which is, Joseph, you gave me a nice outline, but I'm going to throw that out the window. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, and I always mispronounce his name, has testified. And Katie, what's the time? Bring us up to date on that, and what's the time frame looking like?
So on Tuesday, he said that in light of all of the complaints about SBA not processing these forgiveness applications, he's going to push for them to actually start accepting them. And he was saying, not specifically him, actually, a Treasury spokesperson said that they expect to approve and pay forgiveness requests late this week or early next week at the latest. So we are going to start seeing some of those. And generally, they expect it to go pretty quickly. I think there was just a hang-up. They were trying to maybe make their system run automatically or something like that. But because of the complaints, they're going to start processing them right away.
Reading between the lines, let's see. Well, first of all, this is a fact. 96,000 applications have been submitted to SBA, approximately 2%. And I did not know this, Thomas, but a key policy that they're discussing is in order to get a second PPP loan, they want that first loan to be forgiven. That's the first I've heard about that.
Yeah, me as well. So that's sort of interesting, but I think it's, it's great to hear they're going to finally get this thing moving on the forgiveness. I mean,
they got $130 million in the bucket and more money that, they're throwing around a lot of big numbers with a lot of zeros, Katie.
Mm-hmm. It's a big program, and it's going to take a lot of work because, like you just said, they've only got about 2% of those applications that they've received so far. And we're talking, millions of applications that they're going to have to go through. Right now, I believe it's still manual, and they're going to have to eventually make that automatic. Now, they did say it might take a little bit longer, of course, for the loans over $2 million because they've been saying this entire time they're going to have a little bit of added scrutiny for those and double check that all of that was done correctly.
Well, SBA and the Treasury Secretary both are on board saying loans less than 150 should, quote, be given a blanket forgiveness with the borrower simply attesting that the funds were used in accordance with guidelines. Obviously, SBA can't say that, but I think that may be an unofficial policy. I could certainly say that. That's an unofficial policy. If it's under 150, they're not going to look at it carefully, especially in the light that they said, hey, if it's over $2 million, you will get added scrutiny.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I think they all want that to actually be written into the law. They've been saying for a while that Congress needs to address that and go ahead and write a law that says that so they can make that an official law.
Katie, I ask the question every time. Are we still on board on a bipartisan effort to get this done?
I'm seeing a lot of bipartisan efforts right now. They're doing a lot of negotiations. I haven't really seen the bill go any further, or all the bills that have been proposed so far. They've kind of gotten stuck, but they are still negotiating, and you're hearing them talk. So I think they're still trying to get this passed.
Yeah, and it will get passed. It's just a question of timing.
Oh, it might take a little while, but they want it passed.
Thomas, I know your organization is active in lobbying. I know you lobby on both behalf of the USDA program as well as BNI. What are you hearing?
Yeah, so we've been really active, last several weeks for the USDA programs to get the same benefit the SBA got on the forgiveness, and certainly did some calls last week, this week, writing some additional letters, and we've gotten some good traction. We feel like we got some good bipartisan support in round 4 stimulus to potentially get those benefits for our USDA borrowers that SBA got, the the payments for 6 months of principal and interest. So that's specifically what we're shooting for, we've asked for, and we feel like we've got good traction.
Thomas, your loan portfolio is approaching middle market. You have some very larger deals. How are your borrowers adapting to our new world?
Bob, we've been fortunate, but we're, very careful in our underwriting on the front end to make sure we've got good borrowers, good loans, good credits. So, our portfolio continues to perform well. Obviously, we haven't had very many requests for deferrals. So we've been very pleased with that. I mean, we're here to help our borrowers, obviously, to get through this difficult time. But from our perspective, we've been very fortunate to get through it well. And I think our borrowers are performing well.
Do the USDA loans have loan payment forgiveness as SBA does?
No, they just got the deferrals. But that is what we've been working on through Congress to get in this fourth round of stimulus. So we feel pretty good about it. We don't have any guarantee, but we think we're going to get it.
Define deferral. What are you advocating?
Well, I mean, the deferral, on the USDA side, the borrowers can already get a deferral as part of the CARES Act. But what we're proposing is for the USDA rural development loans, that they should get the same benefit that the SBA borrowers got of 6 months of principal and interest paid by the Treasury. And that's what we've been lobbying for, and we've got traction on.
Hey, since we have you, let's talk about this loan to, how do you pronounce it? Vivo, out of the St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. Well, that was a tough site visit, Thomas.
Yeah, it is tough, Bob, to go down to the islands and visit, but, somebody's got to do it. But no, it's a great borrower. We've been working with them for a long time, and just a great relationship, long-term customer. As you can see there, we continue to assist them. They're a large construction contractor there in the islands, and need a lot of heavy equipment, and we've been able to help them as they grow and expand to do business there. There's a lot of activity there on St. Croix, a large refinery that's being rebuilt, and we've been able to help them primarily through the USDA. We've done an SBA, and then also through the CARES Act loan that we recently had approved as well under the BNI.
When you say rebuilt, was this a hurricane damaged property?
No, it was a refinery that was shut down a number of years ago, and they're just bringing it back online. It's quite a site, very, very, very large facility, and they're the exclusive contractor for them. So it requires a lot of equipment and a lot of capital.
$5 million, very good. I know what I like about your model, you really are a riches in niches lender. That is, you're going to go where a lot of other lenders won't go. You go to Puerto Rico, St. Croix. I know you've done a number of deals up in Alaska.
Sure.
There's a loan from Guam on your books.
That's correct. We just we like serving the rural markets, and that's what we advocate for. And growing up in rural America, I understand the need firsthand for access to capital. And
good for you.
That's what
this is a $5 million loan. Job creation, we're starting at 40 jobs. We're going to go 480. Tell us about the prepayment penalty. I don't think a lot of people understand that. Yesterday we had Bob Judge on talking about the strength of the 7A secondary market. How's the strength of the B&I secondary market, and how do you structure these loans to maximize your premium income? There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I mean, the market's still good. I know a loan was sold yesterday for a premium of over 115. So the market's very good. I'm sure as Bob said yesterday, rate, term, and prepayment are very important to maximize your premium. Prepayment's extremely important. So I would tell your audience, if you're structuring a deal, please call us. We can help you structure that to maximize your premium. And obviously the prepay is important for the buyer, so that loan stays in place long term, and that's what it's about.
This is not regulated by the agency. This is USDA has a little bit more hands-off approach.
That's correct.
Let the borrower negotiate with the lender with the terms. And the advantage, one of the advantages is you can negotiate the prepayment penalty with that borrower. The other advantage is you're not paying a tax over 110 on the sale of these B&I loans. So you're not splitting with anybody, correct?
Yeah, I mean, Bob, that, you said it well. Those are the key things. You're not splitting, not paying that tax over 110. It is negotiated between the lender and the borrower. And those are key benefits on the USDA on the secondary market side.
Well, very good. Hey, let's go to the poll questions. Number one, happy fiscal year eve. And did you, I know most of us have our goals for calendar year 2020, but obviously when we do the stats and whatever, we do it for for the fiscal year government, and you meet your goals. And we did that broadly. Very good, 58%. What do you think of that, Katie?
Well, especially considering everything that happened this year and people weren't expecting to have to deal with, COVID and everything. I think that's a pretty good number of people who actually met their goals. And I think, I'm just very happy to see that number. I expected it probably to be a little bit lower. But we did have the PPP program. We have, 7A still doing well. So I am sure a lot of people were doing well on that front.
Yeah, very much. Yeah. Number two, do you think your SBA 7A lending in 2021 will up, down, be the same? Very optimistic. Very good. And finally, that's for those of you who don't see the screen, 70% say yes. And finally, near and dear to your heart, Thomas, did you make a USDA B&I loan in fiscal year 2020? And actually, let me clarify, USDA loan, that can be community facilities, that could be REAP, did you make a USDA loan? What do you think about those numbers, Thomas?
Wow. Well, I mean, it really doesn't surprise me, the no, just because, the USDA programs are so unique. And what you see is that, it is niche. There are only a certain group doing and participating in the program. You do have the lenders that will do one-offs, but day in and day out, it's a handful of lenders participating in the program because it is.
Thomas, you don't view lenders as competitors because you are a player in the secondary market and you're more than willing to work with lenders.
Not at all. We're, we work with a different group, so not at all. But, it's got its nuances. You got to understand it. I think what happens, a lot of lenders say, they advertise USDA, they want to jump into it, but when they get into it and they get frustrated with the process and the program, and that's, again, where we try to help navigate that process because it's what we do day in and day out.
You have created a nice niche in the assisted and independent living arena. You just did and again, you're experts in combining 504 financing with USDA. Here we have Joseph, skip ahead 2 slides. Here we have an $18 billion project building assisted living facility in South Carolina.
Yeah, that's an exciting project that we're very proud of, an assisted living facility there in Clemson, near Clemson University, that we did. It's actually a project that of Mike's. He built that, and it's a beautiful facility over there that's doing well, ramping up during this pandemic. And we utilized the 504 program on it. Was able to take advantage of the really super low rates right now, so we're extremely happy about that, with many others. But beautiful facility. I mean, assisted living, skilled nursing is one of the top industries that we participate in. We like it. And that's why we wanted to do our own assisted living.
Number one, B&I, is it still hospitality, or have these communities, health facilities, and there's a number of different variations taken over that top spot?
No, it's still hospitality, but this is coming in there, closely behind it. It's, as we've all seen, the growth in the assisted living space, and we like the skilled nursing as well.
Let me be blunt. Do you have an appetite for hospitality in October 2020?
Like others, I do get calls. I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's really tough. I mean, I think there are some pockets of opportunity there, and here in Georgia, we're open and things are coming back, unlike other states. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. That's a hard industry right now as far as underwriting. So I'll leave it.
So Vicky is confused, as we all are. Don't worry, Vicky, you're not alone. So I'm hearing nothing being said about the proposed PPP forgiveness easing of requirements for loans of $150,000 or less. And the Treasury Secretary, everybody says we want to do it, but the Treasury Secretary Mnuchin says, hey, but I want to have a legislative directive to do that. We all feel pretty confident it's going to happen at the 150 level. We don't know. I would take exception with Treasury Mnuchin says. I would hold on to these loans under 150 for a little bit longer to see what's going to happen. As Katie indicated, we're not predicting Friday. We're out of the prediction. I'm out of the prediction business. Katie, I'll let you predict.
No, I wouldn't necessarily predict Friday either, but I think we are seeing, I've seen that written into several bills now, and it's just a matter of which bill is going to get picked up and actually passed. And we've seen the numbers change a little bit, but that number is kind of sticking a little bit now. And so I think that's probably the likely thing to happen. I just don't know when it's going to happen yet. It really depends on when Congress picks up the bills.
He asked, what if a business didn't take advantage of the first round of PPP funding? Can they apply for 2.0? The answer is we don't know. My guess is a yes. I don't know.
Everything I've heard so far has said yes, they will be able to participate in the new one. Obviously, they're not going to have to do the forgiveness portion first. They're just going to be able to participate. And there might be certain rules about who can participate, but it does sound like they're probably going to be able to have that chance.
Katie, I want you to talk briefly about your report today. It's something we're following. In fact, let me, we're talking about managing workers, remote workers from home. Thomas, how is your office set up? What are you doing with your people?
Right now, we're sort of rotating a couple of days a week, but we've come back in more over the last month, but we're still sort of 2 day a week, and then as needed.
Yesterday, Katie, the numbers were we had 60%, correct me if I'm wrong, Katie, 60% saying they were more effective working at home, more productive, which means we have less than 60% who are not productive. Thomas, how do you handle, as a manager, how do you handle the people who you feel aren't being quite productive, and what coaching are you giving them?
Well, again, I think for me, I'm fortunate to have a good team. I don't really have that issue. And as long as they're getting their work done and producing, we're good. I mean, it's certainly something I think that's important that you do, encourage them. And they may need some coaching. But for me, it's been pretty easy. I can say that I do feel that we're all more productive by being able to work remotely. I know I am, just like last night. I'm still sitting there in front of my computer at 7 p.m. And so it's been much more productive for me. I mean, I work a lot of hours anyway, but I find working more and more, or getting back on the computer after dinner and working till late. And so I've been very pleased. I was, I guess, a little skeptical in the beginning, but I've been very pleased with our team and very happy. And I think.
How large is your team, Thomas?
10 people.
Yeah. Katie, what else did you find in your research?
So I pretty much seemed to follow most of the things that the Harvard study was looking at, although we did get a larger portion of people who did feel comfortable working from home than the overall average for all industries. So it might just be that this industry is more suited to that. A lot of people already are used to working on the computer and working from their phones, so that's not too big of a difference. It's really, you're going to see the spike in phone calls, the spike in meetings, things like that happen very early on, right after you had lockdowns and things. But now that things are back open or getting more open, people are getting more used to it. So I think more people are feeling productive. Otherwise, it does seem like it's doing fairly well. You do have people. Probably one of the hardest things for this industry is trying to figure out how to work hours around. So if you need to work with somebody else, you can't just work in the middle of the night and not work at all during the day.
Spouse, significant other.
But, some people do have those problems. They have kids, they have family that they have to take care of. They want to go do a load of laundry or something, which is normally okay. But if they're not working at all during the day, they might not be available to their clients and to their other staff. So that is probably a complication in this industry that other industries might have a little bit more flexibility with.
Very good. Hey, I want to give a pitch for Lance is doing the webinar tomorrow on the new SOP that takes effect tomorrow, October 1st. Be sure and sign up for that. We have a bunch of other stuff which Joseph will hold over till tomorrow. But Lance is great when it comes to this type of teaching. And we have the unlimited for when we say everyone in your staff, and that also includes remote locations as well. So you can sign up for that option. Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. Katie, as always, good to see you. And thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street. And I guess, well, St. Croix and Guam, that's part of America. Right. So we
best territories, Bob.
Yeah, we're going to do that. One entrepreneur at a time. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.